Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to all of you. We are delighted to welcome you all to Stars to Shine S2S 2.0 Undergraduate Career Preparation. My name is Muhammad Lukman Al-Hakim bin Muhammad Noor, Part 2 CEH 243. Before we proceed, I have a few housekeeping notes with some details of our program today. First, you are encouraged to give your reactions during the program using the emojis at the bottom of your screen. Secondly, should you have any questions, do leave them under comment sections as we will bring it up during Q&A session. Lastly, please remember to fill in the feedback form provided at the end of this session to receive your e-certificate. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first series of Stars to Shine 2.0 Undergraduate Career Preparation. Before we start, I will give a bit of an explanation about the meaning and objective of our program. The Stars to Shine S2S Undergraduate Career Preparation Program uses a concept of a virtual world workshop highlighting the STARS technique, which stands for Situation, Task, Action, Result, and Skills in honing the skills of participants, thus improving their marketability and employability. The first series will focus on how to prepare a resume and cover letter that will leave a big impression to the recruiters, and the session will be filled in by our honorable guest, Mr. Patrick Tan Peng Jun from DR Resume Services. Here, I would like to share with all of you a little bit about our Mr. Patrick's background. He is currently working as an engineer at Intel Corporation from September 2021 until present. While working there, he was involved in a new technology development in Chandler, Arizona, United States. On top of that, he also successfully developed Skybridge dashboard to support VR factories during troubleshooting activity. For educational background, he graduated with Bachelor of Engineering in Chemical Engineering at University of California, Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Patrick Tan Peng Jun, and the floor is yours. Please welcome Mr. Patrick.
Hey, good morning. Can you hear my voice?
Morning, Mr. Patrick. Yes, we can hear your voice very clearly.
Okay, good. Let me share my screen and we can get started. And also let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Excuse me. Excuse me. The moderator, can you see my screen? I'm actually sharing the screen right now.
I can only see you, Mr. Patrick. I cannot
Okay.
see your shared screen.
Let me share it again.
Mhm.
Let me rejoin the session. There's something happened over here. I need to restart my Chrome. Give me 1 minute.
All right. Yeah, sure.
Hey, good morning. I think you should be able to see my screen right now.
Morning, Mr. Patrick. Technical team, can we see?
Yep. Can you see my screen? Yeah, on mute. Yeah.
Yes, Mr.
Okay,
Patrick.
sure. We can get started.
We can
Okay,
see your
right.
screen.
So once again, thank you for the introduction. Today we're going to talk about resume, cover letter, and interview in this short session. Workshops about, I would say, about 1.5 hours, and then we leave about 30 minutes for Q&A. Okay, so let's get started, and let me do a quick introduction about myself. Um, I'm currently a full-time process and equipment engineer in the semiconductor industry for about 2 years. I think just now the moderator have mentioned something wrongly since September. No, it actually started in 2020, so it's about 2 years right now. I graduated with a chemical engineering degree from University Technology Petronas. And this is my LinkedIn URL. If let's say anyone wants to know more about me, you can always connect me on LinkedIn. Okay. Yep. Let me move on to my next slide. Just for your more information, right? I'm actually a founder of Dr. Resume Services. And at the same time, I was actually listed as a successful people in Malaysia by Britishpedia. It is actually an encyclopedia that going to be in all libraries. I believe it's right now is all libraries, including your university library as well. And I was also get listed as a top 70 rising personalities on LinkedIn, right? And I'm also one of the top 10 entrepreneurs in Malaysia. So these are all my details, just for information. Maybe a deeper introduction about my portfolio, right? I was actually a scholar of Penang Future Foundation. They actually sponsored my 4 years of chemical engineering degree in a university, UTP. And then back in about 2017, when I was a first year student, I actually involved in the process engineering trainee at Everno TCS for about 3 to 4 months, right? And this actually helped me to secure my internship for a couple of companies, including Intel, Robert Bosch. I received offers from Petronas. I received 3 offers from Petronas, including the MRCSD department in Malacca at the production department, and then HSC department in KLCC, and also fertilizer chemical plant in Kedah as well. And then at the same time, I also received phone interview from Schlumberger Malaysia as well, right? And marching towards to 2020, right after I graduated from the university, before I graduated, actually I received 4 interview invitations from Western Digital, Intel, Huawei, and one of the startup company. And I received 2 job offers 3 months before my graduation, which means when I was still a final semester student, I have already secured my job offer, right? And then after I started my first job, I still received 6 interview invitations from time to time. Okay, so today I share this to you is not to show off how many offers I have. I share this to you is not to say how good am I. No. Today, if you can see, right, those with stars behind, those asterisks behind, you can see all those. I put the asterisks here. Those were the offers that I received through LinkedIn. So today, I want to take this opportunity to bring an awareness to the students, to the final year students, fresh graduates who join us in this workshop today. I want to let you know LinkedIn is actually one of the alternative platform that you should actually invest your time into it, because there are a lot of opportunities over there, and you can easily approach to any of the hiring managers, recruiters, talent acquisition team. So that's why I would say it is a platform that full of opportunities, right? So for those who join us today, you can always explore yourself on LinkedIn, right? So let me move on to our topics today. What we are going to cover in these short 1 hour, 1.5 hour sessions, we are going to cover a couple of topics. So I would say it's a little bit hectic, but no worries. I will make it on time, right? We're not going to drag too long, right? So we're going to talk about SWOT analysis. I'm going to share with you how can you determine your strength, how can you eliminate your weakness, what are the things that you need to take note on, and then I will share with you what are the opportunities that you can actually look into it. And lastly, I will talk about threats. What are the threats that you shouldn't touch on it, right? And then I'll move on to the next topic. I'm going to share with you about your unique selling point. Every one of us, we have our own unique selling point, including you, me, your friend, your classmate. They have their own unique selling point. So I will share with you how can you focus on your unique selling point to let people know that you are the best candidate. Because you just imagine today, we go to the market, job market. There's so many candidates over there. Who is the best one? So from there, you need to make sure that you clearly sell out all your selling points so that when recruiters look into your resume, to your portfolio, to your profile, they know that you are the best candidate. So later on, we're going to talk about how to determine your best unique selling point, right? And then move on to the third topic, we're going to talk about resume. You know, when you're going to apply for jobs, resume plays a very super important role. So later on, we're going to talk about resume. I'm going to share with you what are the details that you need to put in the resume, what are the things that you need to take note on, and also how can you actually sell yourself in your resume as well. And also, lastly, I'll talk about the common mistakes in resume. Just for information, I have reviewed over 1,000 resume in these 2 years. I can let you know that which is the best resume and which is the thing that you need to take note on, because I've seen a lot of common mistakes happen to a lot of candidates, especially students. So I will share with you how can you make sure that you don't make this simple mistake, right? And then next one, we're going to talk about cover letter. So for cover letter, I would say it's a quick session, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, very quick one, right? Then we will move on to interview tips. You know, interview is something that you need to go through when you apply for a job, regardless of what job you apply. You go to apply for cashier at McDonald's, promoter at Tesco, chemical engineer at ABC company. Every company needs interview. So today, we're going to talk about interview. I'm going to share with you how can you prepare for interview. What are the things that you need to prepare? Any technical knowledge, anything that you need to take note on, right? And then move on to, we're going to talk about some common interview questions. I'm going to share with you what are the questions that you need to take note on, right? I mean, how can you answer, the technique of answering the question. So these are all the things that we're going to cover today in this short 1.5 hour session. And I will leave 30 minutes for you to ask questions in the end. So, you know, Malaysian students tend to be a bit shy, right? So whenever I will say, is there any question? No one dares to ask question. So let us maybe set a target, right? I would like you guys to ask question. Ask as many as possible. Because when you ask question, you will learn something extra that I never shared it over here, right? And of course, today's session is a bit short, so I'm not going to cover LinkedIn. Are you going to talk about that later in the afternoon, right? So you can actually stay tuned until the afternoon session to have more information. And then I'm going to share with you I'm not going to share with you about LinkedIn, because are you going to call out all the LinkedIn things? And I'm not going to talk about ATS. Maybe there will be a future session, right? Okay. Right. Before I get started, let me do a quick introduction about Dr. Resume Services. What is this about, right? A lot of people ask me, hey, Patrick, what is this about? Okay, so let me do a quick introduction. Dr. Resume Services is an organization that founded in University of Technology Petronas in 2020, February 2020. I was actually the founder of this organization. So the reason it was very simple, you know, and I was a final semester student. I was like you guys. I want to learn about resume writing. I want to learn about LinkedIn. I want to learn about interview tips. But I found that most of the workshops in the market, they were very expensive for me to afford. You know, as a student at the time, I can't even pay 50 ringgit, 100 ringgit to pay for the fees. So I had the idea to provide affordable resume-related services and coaching to all university students. I say, why don't I provide something that affordable to everyone so that everyone can have a chance to learn, right? And at the same time, I provide coaching in terms of LinkedIn profile as well. And thankfully, about 2 years till now, I've impacted about 21,000 participants since 2020 and hosted about 210 workshops, more than 210 workshops, and spoken to more than 50 universities in Southeast Asia. I was invited to a few countries like Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, and Indonesia. So these are all the achievement that I have, right? And then I've been invited to a lot of universities in USM, UTM, UPM, and many, many more. And of course, UITM, this is my third or fourth time being invited to UITM, right? So once again, thank you for the organizer for inviting me to this session. This is all the photos that I have with all my participants last year. So maybe today, you're gonna have I'm not sure how can we have a photo session. I don't think we can because it's a YouTube live. So maybe in future, if you want to be in my photo album, you can always have another session, right? Okay. So a good news to all that join us today. Very good news to you guys. Even the organizer was not informed about this. I will give you to win one free resume template. So for those who join us today, I want you to help me one thing. You know, it's a Saturday morning, right? A lot of people still in their bed. They are not waking up yet, or maybe they are eating breakfast. So give them a call. Hey guys, come join us for this resume workshop or interview workshop. So upon joining, you'll be standing a chance to get a free resume template. You know, what's a good deal, right? So just just text in the WhatsApp group, any group what they have, ask them to join, right? So without further ado, one last slide before I get started. There are a few rules. I think this one is not applicable right now because it's a live stream, right? And I think the second point is applicable to you guys is feel free to share with your friends. Yeah. Feel free to share your friends. Anything that you learned today, right? You can actually share it on LinkedIn. You can post it on LinkedIn. You can mention to me, let me know what you have learned from me today, right? But one thing is, don't take any screenshot of the slide and post it publicly, right? Because that is, I would say, considered as a maybe a copyright, something like that, right? So you can write in your own words, write in your own way, in your own post to share it on LinkedIn. Okay, let us get started with our very, very first topic today. We are going to talk about SWOT analysis. A lot of people ask me, hey, Patrick, what is SWOT analysis? What is this and what is that, right? So let me do a quick briefing with you and then sharing. What I mean by SWOT analysis, SWOT. S simply means by strength, W simply means by weaknesses, and O simply means by opportunities, and threats, T is referring to threats. So how does this impacting you when you're going to apply for jobs, when you're going to write for your resume? So let us go through quickly on strength. You know, when you talk about strength, right? Everyone have their own strength. You have your own strength, your friend have your own strength, I have my own strength. So you need to know what is the strength that you can attract recruiters' attention. Because today you're going to go to the job market, right? So you go to the job market, you need to let people know that, hey, I'm good in this, I'm capable for this position, I am totally the right candidate. So this is all the strength that you need to call out to the recruiters or to the hiring manager. And what do you actually do well? You know, if I ask you, hey, hey, Jonathan, what have you done? What are the things that you think that you're doing good? You might not be able to answer because you have not prepared yourself, right? Because you can say, I'm good in everything, but to be honest to you, no one is good in everything, right? So you need to ask yourself what you are actually doing good regarding to the job. Example, today you're going to apply for chemical engineer. You are very good in simulation, Aspen HiSys software, right? So in this case, you are good in simulation side. So you need to let recruiters know, hey, I'm really good in this area, right? So the same thing goes to any one of you when you go to apply for any job. Always share your strength. And talking about strength, right? You need to ask yourself, what are the unique resources that you can actually draw on? So example today, when you talk about unique resources, what kind of resource you have? Maybe you have extra skills, you have extra software skills, extra knowledge on that area. That would be your unique resources. Because today, you need to understand, as I said just now, you and your friends, you are competing each other, which means it's either you get a job or your friend get a job, or it's either your friend get a job or other people get a job. So the opening is only one, right? So always make sure that you have something special to share to people. Because if you now have nothing to share, I mean, you are just normal, right? And other people also normal. So no any difference. So recruiters will always choose the best one. Always remember that recruiter or hiring manager, they will always choose the best candidate among the pool of people, right? So always don't think on that. And what do others see as your strength? So when I talk about what do others see as your strength, it's like, example today, you are going to apply for software engineer. You are good in C++, you're good in Python, but you are not good in Java, right? So if actually the job requires you to have a Java skills, so you don't have that skills, so you might not be able to relate yourself clearly. So the same thing goes here. I would say you need to always ask yourself, what are the details that what are the skills that they have that can clearly relate yourself to the job, right? It can be a soft skills, it can be a technical skills, it can be any skills that are going to relate yourself, right? And move on to the next one is actually weaknesses. When I talk about weakness, a lot of people don't know how to determine their own weakness. Example today, I ask you, hey, what is your weakness? My weakness, I don't know. I don't really dare to share. I'm a lazy person. Can I share? I don't think you can share lazy, right? So when talk about weakness, you need to know. Weakness is something that you can improve on. Example today, you're going to apply for a job. You see that they mentioned that they need skill A, skill B, knowledge A, knowledge B. If you don't have that kind of skill and knowledge, that is your weakness, right? So always ask yourself, compare with your friends. So today, in the class, in the university, you always know, CT is better than me. Mutu is better than me. So, but which kind of better? Maybe they are good in C++. They are good in Java, the software language. So if you think that they are good in that, you need to make sure that you are as good as them, right? Because let's see the second point. Where do you have fewer resources than others? So when I talk about fewer resources, you always need to make sure that you have the right resources. You cannot be like, oh, they are good in this, it's okay. I just be a normal student, it's okay. No, because when you go to the job market, recruiters always look for the best one. The more skills you have, the more high advantage that you can get selected. So always ask yourself, where do you have fewer resources? And from there, you improve yourself. You make sure that you gain more skill. Because today, when we talk about learning is not a constraint anymore. You have a lot of online learning platforms, Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, Udemy, and EDX, and a lot more. You can see, I can simply point out four for you, but I think there are more online websites, and most of them are free, right? So it depends on how much time you invest into it. Of course, like your friend might say, "Ayya, later lah, right? We go to mama first lah. We go to eat supper first." If they want to go, let them go. So from your side, as a job seekers, you always make sure that you are the best one. Before you get a job, you always need to make sure that you get yourself equipped with all the necessary skills, right? So the last point here, what are others likely to see is weakness? So which means you need to know what kind of weakness that you have, and you need to work on to improve. And this clearly relates to resume. So let me relate back to resume. So whichever you have the weakness, you are not supposed or you're not advised to share in resume. Because when you share in resume, right, recruiters say, oh, you have this skill A, skill B. So during the interview, so they're going to ask you, hey, do you have any skill and skill B? But when you do the interview, say, oh, actually no, I know the basic only. So you might going to make the interviewer disappointed later on, right? So take note on that. And moving on to the next one is about opportunities. So when talking about opportunities, you need to know what opportunities are open to you. So when I talk about opportunities, you need to know, today there are a lot of opportunities online. Example, LinkedIn platform. That will be one of the opportunities that you can actually explore on, right? Because today, when you talk about job portal, like JobStreet, Glassdoor, Indeed, and some other job platform. Do you know that there's extra opportunities called LinkedIn platform? LinkedIn, so you can actually take advantage of it, right? Because you need to know if you are ready, you have all the skills equipped for that position, you have to apply. There's opportunities coming, because you cannot say, yeah, I still have 3 months to graduate. I relax first, I enjoy university life. And later on, no more chance to enjoy myself. No. You shouldn't have this kind of mindset. You always make sure that you grab the right opportunities at the right time, because opportunities comes and go. Once it go, it never come back. So you need to wait for another opportunity, right? So always ask yourself, are you ready? Once you're ready, then you have to survey. If there's opportunity, there's a job opportunity opening, apply for it, right? And next one is about trend that you could take advantage of. As I said just now, LinkedIn is one of the trend that you can actually invest your time in, right? And how can you turn your strength into opportunities? So as I said just now, when we talk about skill set, when we talk about your technical skills, if you have something relatable to the job, that is your opportunity. Just go ahead to apply, right? And lastly, let us move on to the last one, which is the threats. When I talk about threats, right? Threat is something that you shouldn't touch on it, because that could be one thing that's going to stop you to get a job. And I'm so sorry for the typo here. The first point I actually typed wrongly, right? It's called threat, not treats. Okay, so when I talk about threats, right? You need to know threats is something going to stop you from getting a job. So you need to know. Example today, you are a finance background, right? You have a finance background. So you're going to apply for engineer role. Do you think that you can get a job? I don't think so, right? You always need to make sure that you apply something relatable to you. right? So that you have a higher chance to get selected. So you need to know what threats could harm you. What is your competition doing? So when you talk about competition, it's about your friend. It's about your classmate. You know them well. You know when they are going to apply for a job. You know what are they doing good. So always always know what they are doing and do better than them, right? And ask yourself, what threats do your weaknesses expose to you? Always remember that. You need to make sure that you are the best one and you are not advised to share your weakness. Always focus on your strength, right? So let us move on to our next topic today. And I hope that you understand what it means by SWOT analysis. And from SWOT analysis, you can clearly know what you want to share in your resume, what you shouldn't share in your resume, what are the things that you need to take note on, what are the things that you need to improve further later on, right? So next topic, we're going to talk about what is your unique selling point. When you talk about unique selling point, a lot of students, especially the university student, they couldn't answer what are the unique selling point they have. Today I ask you, hey, do you know what you are doing good? No, I don't really know. That is a common answer that I usually get from my candidate, my participants, my workshop participants, right? So when I talk about unique selling point, you need to understand. When I talk about unique selling point, always ask yourself, from your resume, from your portfolio, from your background, how can you attract the recruiter's attention? You need to understand. Every candidate that's going to apply for a job, I would say they are the best. I mean, they are showing off their best to the recruiters. So you need to understand, from this pool of candidates, maybe example 500 of them, 10 and 1,000 of them, how can you attract the recruiter's attention? From your resume, how can you let people remember you? So let me share you one example, right? When you're going to apply for a job, if the recruiter remember you, right, even though you're not securing that particular position, he or she will help you to refer to another hiring manager. So always remember that if you have a very good impression, if you have a very good attitude, so that could be one of the things that can help you, right? So your unique selling point could be anything that you think is something special that you can offer to the company, right? And next one, if you unique selling point is something that you're going to able to influence the selection process and be the best among all pool of candidates in the job market, right? And lastly, I would say in terms of resume, always focus on your achievement and results. Always share the best, how you doing, how well are you doing in the particular time frame, right? So you can see, as I said just now, if you have a very good unique selling point, it able to help you to succeed in the job application, and it able to utilize your talent to achieve your dream. So take note on that, and I would say that will be one of the top priority that you're going to take note on when you're going to write a resume. Because when you write a resume, you cannot just simply share whatever things that you have. No, you need to know whatever thing that you share, it should be related to the job. So example, today you have photography skills, you have videography skills, and you're going to apply for engineer role. Do you think that engineer role requires you to have photography skill, videography skill? I don't think so, right? So always know what to write and what to share. So last point here, you need to know what to write in the resume. When I talk about resume, you need to know, you need to write something related to the job, and because that could be something that you can share in the interview later. Because everything that you've written in the resume, you are supposed to share in the interview when the recruiter asks you a question, right? So take note of that. So right now we are slowly moving on to the resume section. Right. So we're gonna talk about how to develop a good resume or a CV. When I talk about resume, when I talk about CV, as a student, I can share with you my experience when I was a student. We always go to Google. We download whatever things, and we follow if you want to fill out the template. So I want to say that that is one of the common doings in the university, right? But I can let you know, a good resume is a document that able to attract and catch the recruiter's attention within 1 minute. So what I mean by 1 minute, you need to understand. Let's take example today. you're going to apply for a job in an MNC, in a multinational company, a big company, a famous company. So you don't understand, even though, you want to join the company, your friend also want to join as well, because it's a big company, it's a famous company, right? So the recruiter typically receive up to hundreds of resume, thousands of resume in a single day. So which means they spend averagely about 1 minute time for every single resume. So these are what we need to think on. So how can you make sure that your resume able to catch the attention within 1 minute or 2 minutes? So this is one thing that you need to think on. And a good resume actually summarizes the most important information that an employee needs to know when they consider a new hire. So you need to understand, as I said just now, what kind of the information is the most important information you need to know. Example, you apply for finance analyst. Do you think that dancing skill, singing skill can help you? I don't think so, right? So always remember, share the most important and the most relevant details that you think you can impress the recruiters, right? If you have relevant background, relevant internship background, that is even better, right? And that match to my third point, match relevant skills towards the job description. So when talk about job description, you know, when you go to apply for a job, you are not supposed to blindly apply for a job. As I have seen a lot of candidates, job seekers, they go to job street, they hit the apply button, they hunt them. You know what I use the word hunt them. They hit all the apply button for every job on job street. I would say that is not a good way of applying job, because you need to understand, whichever job that relates to you, only you apply, so that you have higher chance to get selected. So that's why you need to match the relevant skills towards the job description. If not, I would say you are just like throwing a stone into the sea and you'll never get it back, right? So always make sure that you get the right way of applying job, right? Next one. And a good resume should be representing your first impression of yourself to the future employer. So when we talk about first impression, you understand, today when you go to apply for a job, recruiters do not know who you are. Recruiters do not know how tall you are, how you look like, what is your details. They don't know. So where they can get those information? They'll get it from the single document, which is called resume. So from there, recruiters will analyze, oh, are you doing good on that? So you need to make sure that your resume able to portray out a good first impression, so that you can have higher chance to get selected. If not, it might not make any sense for you to write a resume, right? So always make sure that you share your achievement instead of describing your job, right? So I give you a very simple example, right? Today, you go to McDonald's, you want to apply for cashier, right? So once you be a cashier for 3 months, in a resume, what are you going to write? You write cashier, and then you describe your job: collect money at the counter, serve hamburgers. Do you think that is a good description? Definitely not. You need to share your achievement. Share about how well have you doing. How well have you been doing as a cashier? Maybe you say serve up to thousands of customers weekly, something like that. So from there, you have an achievement. So it not only portrays out your skill, it also shows out your soft skills, because you see you have a very good serving PR skills, right? That could portray out you have public relations skills, right? So I would say always think about it. How can you relate yourself to the job? And a lot of people ask me, can I include my part-time job in my resume? I would say yes, why not? Because don't forget, soft skills are intertransferable. Example, today you are a cashier, you gain communication skill. Today you are a promoter, you gain public relations skill. Today, whatever job you are doing, you have the skills. Example, you are a Grab car driver, you gain time management skills. So all of the job that you have done, it also can contribute some of the skills over there, right? So let us move on to the next slide, right? As I said just now, you need to quantify your achievement with data. Human beings human beings like to read numbers, right? If you have a number, you say that you're top 100, top 1,000, that will be one of the way for you to quantify, to let people know that you are the right candidate. Because today, if you never let me know you are the right candidate, I don't know. The recruiter don't know. The hiring manager don't know as well. The interviewer also don't know, right? So you need to make sure that you share data. It's the same thing when you go to interview. Interview is all about selling yourself. Later on, we're going to talk about interview. No worries. Stay tuned for that, right? And next one, how can you know whether are you developing a good resume? Always make sure that, as a student in most of the universities, there's no any course called resume writing. There's no any course called CV writing. No, I don't think there is any course that you need to take exam CV writing. No, right? So always make sure that you consult professionals so that you don't make any simple mistake as a student, because a lot of time, if you never consult people, you don't know that you're writing right or wrong, right? So always, my advice to you is always consult professionals or seniors or resume reviewer so that you don't waste too much of time by sharing the incorrect information, right? And lastly, I will say the last point here is not about CV or resume. It's more towards LinkedIn. I would say for you guys as a student, as a job seekers, LinkedIn is one of the platforms that you must utilize it because it's free. And second thing is, it can easily reach out to anyone that you want to, right? So let me move on to the skeletons of resume. Hope I'm not going too fast, right? Because this is a live stream session. I don't know how can I follow up with you, because usually for my workshop, I have chat box. I can ask them, hey, comment if you think it's too fast, comment if you think it's okay. But today, I don't know how can I communicate with you. Maybe for those who join me on YouTube right now, you can actually type in the comment section. Yeah, you can type in the comment section so that I know you are learning, you are feeling good or not. But I cannot see the comment because I'm on my mobile now. I can't see my comment, the comment as well. But it's okay. I think the moderator will feedback to me if I'm too fast, right? Okay, so let me continue. Let me drink a sip of water, right? Okay.
Mr. Patrick, your pace is very okay already.
It's okay. Good.
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this is a live session. I
Yeah.
think, I usually don't do live session because hard for
Oh,
me to
yeah.
follow up. Because for my session, I
Mm.
always follow up with people. But it's okay. It's okay. A good experience, right? So let me move on to the next topic. We'll talk about skeletons of resume. So when we talk about skeletons, right, a lot of people ask me, hey, what are the topics I need to have? What are the sections I need to have? What are the details I need to have, right? So here we have listed out 8 sections that you need to have, you are advised to have in your resume. So what I can say is, you can take note of, you can write down, list out, or take note on this section. I will share with you verbally. I don't have slide for every single section. I will share with you verbally what are the details you need to have. That's why I'll say this slide is something. This now is some. Sorry, let me put this way. Now is a time that you need to pay attention, right? So because it's not listed in the slide here, I will share with you verbally. You need to take note on, right? So let's talk about introduction. When you talk about introduction, right? You need to take note on introduction. Introduction. When you talk about introduction, you are not supposed to share too much of details, too much of unuseful details. So, meaning to say that, example, you share about driving license, you share about your IC number, you share about your what else? You share about your home address. Those are all not needed, right? So, example, today you share driving license, unless you're going to apply for a driver position. Then I think that is that is needed, right? But I would say, if you apply for a normal working position like an engineer, finance analyst, accountant, business analyst, I don't think you need driver license, right? So what are the details you need? I would say just 5 details that you need. What are the 5 details? Your full name, okay, can take note your full name, your phone number for the recruiter to call you for any interviews, right? Your phone number, second one, your email address in case the recruiter cannot call you, they can email you, right? And then your LinkedIn URL. Don't forget about LinkedIn URL, right? LinkedIn is one of the platforms that a lot of HR is utilizing right now, right? LinkedIn. And lastly, it's about your location. Where are you located at? So just as mentioned, you don't share your address because today you are going to widespread your resume to a lot of company A, B, C, D, E, a lot of company. So you might going to leak out your private information. So that's why I would say, just share your location you do. And one thing is, you're going to ask me, hey Patrick, if I never share my address, does the recruiter know where am I staying at? You need to understand, when a recruiter or when a hiring manager choosing the candidate, they will not, they are not interested to know where are you staying, which lorong, which jalan, which taman, which condo. They don't want to know where you're staying. They just want to know where are you based in. Example, Puchong Selangor, Georgetown, Penang, Batu Pahat, Johor, Ipoh Perak, where else? Ayakuro, Malacca. So you need to know. You need to know. Just you need to share the location only. You don't have to share your home address. That is not needed, right? So hopefully you take note on. And I would say those are all the basic information that you have for introduction. So other than that, that would be just additional information. Example, some people share about their hobby. They like to cycling. They like to hiking. I don't think the recruiter is interested to know. And then some people share about IC number. No need, because you understand, when you go to apply for a job, they call you for interview. They don't need your IC number. When they need the IC number, probably is after you get hired. The HR will contact you for IC number, for your emergency contact and whatever. Yeah. So that is after you get selected, right? Next one, talk about summary, or some people call it objective. Executive summary is very important in the resume. So let me give you an example, right? I know all of you guys been to the cinema before, right? I assume, okay? So maybe today you want to go to watch the latest movie, maybe Top Gun, right? Top Gun or Doctor Strange. Okay, maybe you know more than me, right? So example, today you want to go to watch movie in the cinema. What will we do before you go to the movie? You will watch trailer. You will watch trailer at home. You will go to YouTube, watch the trailer of the movie. 2 minutes trailer. So from the trailer video, you're able to know, wow, this is able to attract me and that, and you get attracted with the storyline, right? So this is the same thing. In resume, your summary section is like a trailer for you to attract the recruiter's attention. So meaning to say that your summary should be something that can clearly sell yourself quickly to the recruiter. And just to let you know, some of the recruiters, they actually go through summary before they read through the whole session. So from your summary, you need to be able to let recruiters know what they can expect from you, what they can get from you, so that your summary can attract their attention to go through the next few sections, right? Think on that. And typically, I would say summary, you need to clearly share a couple of things like your current status, your achievement, what are you doing, and maybe you can talk about what are you applying, what other position. That will be a few summary. And for summary, it shouldn't be too lengthy, right? It can be in one paragraph, but not too lengthy. 4 lines, 5 lines should be fine, right? This is a short summary. Take note of that, right? And moving on to the next one, we talk about education first. Research project we talk later, right? Education, I think you know more than me, right? You don't write about your university name, course name, CGPA. That's it. So a lot of people. I didn't get that. Could you? So a lot of people will ask me, hey, how about your subjects? Do you need to include any subjects in the resume? I would say no need to include any subjects in the resume. So today, I have seen a lot of students, they list out all the subjects they've taken in the university, 20 subjects, 30 subjects. I would say no, you don't have to share out all subjects, because the recruiter should know what qualifies you. Example, you are a chemical engineer. He or she should know what qualifies you, right? So you don't have to share all the subjects taken, right? And if you have taken any major, some of the universities, they have, example, you are chemical engineering degree, you have taken some major in process, major in reaction, major in environment. So if you have taken any major, you can write it over here as well, right? And next one, we talk about research project. Okay, research project is something that usually students will left out. Or maybe they will not share too much on that. So you need to understand, research project, example like FYP, designing project, assignment, all these things. These are all good things for you to share. Of course, you cannot share everything. You have to share something that is related to the job. These are all good things to share. So when I talk about projects, right, I've seen a lot of students, they just write their FYP title only. They never give any description. You need to understand, there are hundreds or there are thousands of FYP in Malaysia. If you just give a title, how do I know, or how the interviewer know whatever things they have gone through? They don't know that, right? So always remember, when you share something about projects, share 1 point or 2 points to talk about your achievement, to talk about what is the finding that you have, so that recruiters know, oh, from this project you learn about this. Let me give you an example. Today, you're going to apply for a job in, example, as a mechanical engineer. Okay, focusing on the chiller. I'm not sure anyone of you from mechanical engineering background. If let's say you know about this, you're going to apply for mechanical engineer role, maybe focusing on chiller. So just imagine your FYP, you are working on improving the efficiency of chiller, and you write it over there, and you give them 1 point or 2 point shape, or your project able to save up to 1 million of energy, 1 million kilowatt of energy, and then what kind of achievement you have. So during the interview, the recruiter will say, oh, you have a very in-depth knowledge about chiller. So this will help you to attract the attention of the recruiters, and this will eventually become your selling point to the recruiters, right? Let us move on to the next one, talking about professional experiences, working experiences, internship experiences, and part-time job experience. Okay, so when talking about professional experience or internship, I would say for those final year student or for those fresh graduate, I assume you have gone through your internship. So you are highly advised to share your internship job as well. So when talking about sharing experience, right, working experience, don't just share your position and don't just describe what you are doing. Share about your project that you have done. I believe in the 3 months, 4 months, or 7 months of internship, you have gone through a lot of projects, a lot of assignments, a lot of tasks. Feel free to write it over here. Because why? This kind of experience could be one of the selling point for you when you go to the job. When you go to apply for a job later. So always make sure that you share something related, share something impressing to the recruiters, so that they will see, oh wow, your internship is you have learned something about this, and it's related to our opening. So they'll call you for interview, right? So always remember that, because if you never share, no one knows. If you never emphasize, no one knows, right? Because I have seen a lot of students, especially final year students, fresh graduate, right? They did a very good internship in a very good company, but they never clearly called out what they have learned, what they have gone through in the company, right? So always take the opportunity to share the involvement that they have in the company, right? And lastly, talk about part-time. When I talk about part-time, right? A lot of you were gonna ask me, hey, can I share about my part-time job in the resume? I will say yes. Go ahead. If you are a promoter, you are a cashier, you are a salesman, go ahead to share, right? But of course, part-time, it could be one of the things that is going to relate to your soft skills, but don't share too many of it. Maybe 1 or 2 should be fine, right? Don't share, like, if you have 10 part-time, don't share 10 of them, because that could be not related to you, to the job that you're going to apply, right? Let us move on to the next one. We talk about skills. We talk about skills. And when we talk about skills, I will advise you to share more technical skills. Right now it's more about technical. Marching towards this generation, it's all about technical, right? Even you are from finance, you need to learn Power BI, you need to learn about SAP. These are all software. So if you have extra technical skills, that will be one of the things that you can clearly call out, right? So let us move on to the next one, extracurricular activities or roles. This is something that usually students is interested on, right? When in the universities, right? I see my friend joining this event, I need to join this event as well. I see my friend join that club, I need to join that club as well. Just let you know, in resume, you are highly advised to share about your curriculum, but you are not advised to share too many of them. The reason behind is very simple. Each of the event, you need to give them 1 or 2 points to explain. Example today, you talk about you join one event called ABC event. And ABC event in your university is the largest event. But you need to understand, recruiters is not from your universities. They don't know that this ABC is the largest event in the universities. So they don't know about that. So when you say, oh, you're so proud, hey, I'm joining ABC event as a project manager. But no one knows how important it is. So that's why you need to write 1 or 2 points or 3 points. The most you can write is 3 points. Or I would say 2 to 3 points to write, to share about your achievement. Your what example, you are leading someone. Example, you are leading a team. Example, you are managing something. Your achievement, to let people know how well are you doing. Because if you never share it out, no one knows about it. Just to let you know, when I was in the university, I joined more than 30 events in my 4 years of degree. I joined more than 20 competition. I joined more than 5 or 10 clubs in the university. And I was letting you know that I cannot write everything in my resume, because in the resume, you only can choose maybe top 3 or top 5 to share it out. So let me tell you, so always focus on the best one that you want to share out. And the best one in terms of your achievement, not the one that you enjoy the most in the university, right? The thing that, you share the highest 5 that you think you can impress the recruiters with your skills that they have, right? Next one, we talk about awards and achievement and volunteering experiences. I put it optional here is because not everyone have experience in volunteering, or not everyone have awards and achievement. So if let's say you have awards and achievement, you have to clearly call out, right? So what I can say to you is, if you have anything in this section number 7, you can go ahead with, right? If you don't have it, it's fine. Not to worry too much. Okay, so let me move on to my next one, is about referee. So I would say referee section, a lot of people ask me one thing, the thing, is referee really important in our resume? If you want me to answer this question, I would say referee section, maybe 20%. The importance is only 20%. Because the reason is very simple. Based on my experience, I have consulted a lot of recruiters. Only 20% of them call the referees to ask about you, the candidate. So you think it's important or not? For me, I think it's important, because I don't know who are the 20% of them that are going to call out my referee. So that's why I would advise you to always include referee. 2 referees will do. And referees should be someone professional either from the industry, from the university, or your internship supervisor could be one of your referee as well, right? Okay, let me move on to the next one. We talk about common mistakes. This is one thing I want to emphasize. A lot of people, they don't know whether they are sharing right or wrong, right? So right now I would like to share with you some of the common mistakes that I've seen in the market. As a student, when I was a student, I don't even know that I'm doing wrong. I don't even know that this is not working, right? So today I want to share with you, based on my experience. I have reviewed up to thousands of resumes. I want to share with you, these are a few things that you should avoid in your resume. The first one, which is a funny thing I will say, is funny name in email address. What I mean funny name is, everyone have a childhood, right? You have a childhood, I have a childhood. So during your days as a kid, you create some cute email address. Maybe you use a cartoon name, Pokemon, Doraemon, whatever thing, right? Right. So if you're still using these kind of funny names, these childish names in the email address, you should need to create one. So your email address should be something related to your name. Don't ever use your childhood anymore, right? Of course, you might go and laugh me. Hey, Patrick, are you serious? Someone still using? I can dare you that if you go to your when you go back to the class, you see your friend. Hey, is he still using? Some of your friends, I believe, they are still using their childhood email address, right? Right, and always make sure that your email address that you use should be something professional related to your name, right? Next one, as I think this one I've already mentioned just now, is about home address. For home address wise, I would say you don't have to share the full address. Just write the location will do, right? Example, which location you are in. So, and next one is about resume length. So when talking about resume length, right, a lot of people ask me, hey Patrick, how many pages do I need to have? How much I need to share in the resume? I would say for fresh graduate, for internship seekers, typically 1 or 2 pages is more than enough. You don't have to write 3, 4, 5 pages, because As I said just now, recruiters only spend averagely 1 minute for every single resume. So if you share 5 pages, I don't think they'll go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They maybe 1 or 2 they'll skip it, right? So always make sure that you share only, you go up to 1 or 2 pages length. Don't go more than that, right? Next one, profile picture. A lot of people say profile picture is a must. A lot of recruiters say, hey, you need to have profile picture. Let me tell you, profile picture is an optional. Why am I saying so? Because today, if just imagine you are the hiring manager, you want to hire the right candidate or you want to hire the handsome candidate. Definitely you want to hire the right candidate that can work for your team, right? So I would say profile picture is an optional. So if you not feel comfortable to share, don't share. If you think that you are handsome, you are pretty, you are confident, just go ahead to share, right? So it's depend on you. So it's an optional. And next one, number 5. Number 5 is important. I need to emphasize to you guys, especially student. In resume, do not use any abbreviation. Do not use any short form. Different universities have different short form. In the event name, right, you have different short form. Different club have a different short form. You need to understand, recruiters is not from your university. They are not working on this project. They don't know what is it referring to. So always remember, don't use abbreviation in the resume because no one knows about that. All right. And next one, spelling and grammatical error mistakes. So when I talk about spelling and grammatical error, I would say this is about 30%. Based on the number of resumes I reviewed, about 30% of candidates will make this simple mistake. So my advice to you as a student, as a job seeker, when you go to apply for a job, always make sure that you check again and again and again. Make sure that you don't make this simple spelling and grammatical mistake, because when you make these kind of mistakes, recruiter will know that, oh, this person is not interested to apply for a job. He's just simply write the resume to apply for a job. So always remember that. Do not make any simple mistake like spelling or grammatical error, right? And number 7, write in paragraph. So when I talk about paragraph in the resume, only your summary must be in paragraph. The rest of the section should be in point form, because you need to understand, recruiter go through your resume very quickly. So if you write in long paragraph, they might miss out some important point. So what you can do is use a point form, right? Okay. So with that, I think that's about common mistakes. Let me move on to cover letter writing. Before moving, let me drink a sip of water. Okay, let's get started with a cover letter. We went through very quickly just now. We went through 3 topics because I'm running with the time. I'm running with the time. So I would say just now we've gone through SWOT analysis. We've gone through the selling point. We've gone through resume. I would say resume is more informative, right? Of course, because that's the main topic of today. And now talking about cover letter. Okay, so cover letter, I would say it takes us about 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Very quickly, very straightforward. I think you should know, right? So what is a cover letter? And do you really need a cover letter, right? I want to let you know that a cover letter is a single page letter that written to the person offering a job. So which means today you're going to apply for a job, you're going to apply for any role, it would be good for you to have a cover letter to share your details summarized in a document, so that you can clearly call to the recruiter, so that they know what you want to share in the cover letter, right? And typically for the cover letter, it's referring to a formal love letter that you're writing to the recruiters, stating about your desire in a particular job. So this letter should be able to demonstrate your personality more than in a resume. Meaning to say that this cover letter should be clearly called out all your selling point, your personality, your experiences, your skills in one page, in a short summarize, right? And this letter should summarize all your experiences and discuss how suitable you are in a specific role. So I would say typically recruiters read cover letter. When they go through, they don't know what they can expect from you as well, right? And then I would say always include cover letter whenever there's a chance. So what I mean whenever there's a chance, some of the job portal, they have only one attachment when you're going to apply for a job. So if let's say there's only one attachment, don't submit a cover letter. submit with resume. Submit with resume, right? So if let's say there's no any chance to upload cover letter, then it's fine. But if let's say there's a chance to upload cover letter, always upload cover letter, right? And one last thing I will say is about is to let you know, right? You know, some of the time we get an email. I mean, you get an email address from the hiring manager to ask us to email the resume to the hiring manager. So if that's the case, do not attach another cover letter. You can straight away copy your cover letter content to become the email content, right? So that because if you upload a cover letter and somehow you only write an email content, that will be a redundant. So why don't you just put the cover letter content into an email as an email content, right? Okay, so let's move on. What is the format of cover letter that you need to have, right? So the format is very simple. It should be a formal letter format, right? Formal letter. And you need to include your address as well, your home address, right? And then the date of it's totally like a formal letter. And also mention about the position that you're going to apply. So when you talk about position, you need to take note on this position cannot be a general position. You say apply application for fresh graduate position. No one knows what position you're referring to. You need to be specific. Application for chemical engineering position, application for mechanical engineering position, right? So these are the few things you need to take note on. And I will say, you need to have proper greetings to start your letter because it's just like a formal letter that you're going to write. So always need to make sure that you need to be professional, right? And I will say, next one, what needs to be in a cover letter? You know, a lot of time people ask me, hey, what are the details I need to have? What are the things that I need to take note on, right? So all I can say is, in a cover letter, it should be a paragraph. You need to have 4 different paragraphs. That's my advice, right? 4 different paragraphs. First paragraph, introduction about yourself. Share about your details, your course or university. Just introduce yourself, right? In the short paragraph. And then second paragraph, talk about the skills that you have. And also you can mention about hard skills, soft skills. And if you have extra space, you can continue to talk about your curriculum in the second paragraph. And followed by third paragraph, it can be either your curricular experiences or your internship experiences. You can share about your internship, you can share about your achievement in the industry. That will be one of the things. And lastly, the last paragraph, only you mention about the contact. Mention about end your cover letter with a contact, means you can mention that if I can accommodate the time to any interview. If let's say you're interested to interview me, you can email me to this email or phone. This just like ending your formal letter format, right? So I would say cover letter is pretty straightforward. It's very straightforward because cover letter is all about your writing skills. It's all about your essay writing. So then there's no too much of format you need to follow. There's no too much of structure you need to follow. It's all about selling yourself. So I would say it's very straightforward for cover letter. And for those who want to write cover letter later, you can always refer to Google, your friend, to get some format, some sample format for you to refer later on. And just to maybe not to demotivate you, but let me tell you, right? How many recruiters actually read cover letters? I would say less than 10% of recruiters read cover letter, right? And of course, I would say you don't know who are the 10%. That's why you need to upload your cover letter also, so that when they need it, they can get it, right? Okay, so right now, we are going to move on to our next topic today. Is actually the interview preparation. And I believe this will be our last topic before we end the session. I will try to complete within 25 minutes that I have, because I need to move on to Q&A at 9:30. Sorry, at 10. What is the time now? I need to 10:30. Sorry, I need to move on to Q&A to 10:30. So I have 25 minutes. I believe I can complete on time. With my pace right now, I'm good with the pace. So let me move on to our last topic here today. Is interview preparation. So when we talk about interview, right? You need to understand every job you need this interview, right? So I would say if today you are not good in speaking, you say, my English is not so good. My English is so bad. I scared I cannot handle interview. Not to worry too much. The reason behind it is very simple. You can see me myself. I'm a real life example. I was from Chinese school for both primary and secondary. I speak Mandarin at home. I don't speak English at all. So, when I was in the university at that time, I rarely speak English. I can't even speak very smoothly. As compared to today, I can speak smoothly, right? So let me share with you how I handle my interview last time. So I always prepare 3 days ahead or 4 days ahead. I will start to prepare. I will list out all the possible questions. I will list out all the possible things that they could ask me. I do rehearsal. And don't forget, practice makes perfect. And that's how I'm able to eventually grow up my speaking skills. I'm able to communicate clearly to people. So of course, if you ask me, is anyone born to be a speaker? No, no one is born to be a speaker. It's all about practice. It's all about rehearsal. It's about trying. Of course, first time you cannot be the best. Second time you cannot be the best. But the more times you go, you're getting better and better. And eventually you think that it's normal to speak English, right? So my advice to you is, as a student or as a job seeker, as a fresh graduate, when you go to any interview, you need to prepare. Of course, a lot of people tell me, hey, no need lah. I'm an English speaker. I speak English at home. I can speak very well. You need to understand, when you go to interview, everyone will get nervous, including you and me. So how you handle your nervous level depends on how much you have prepared. The more you prepare, the easy you feel. I mean, the easier you feel. You think, oh, it's easy, right? So let's move on. What are the details you need to have? You need to prepare. I will say the same thing. I only list out 3 points here, but I'll share you verbally. Think on that. Okay. So when I mention about company background, oh yeah, I have prepared that. Okay. So when I talk about company background, right? So we have 3 topics we're going to go through: company background, technical knowledge, and rehearsal. Okay. When I talk about company background, right? Today, when you go to apply for a job, a lot of people hunt down everything. I mean, they apply everything in the website, but they don't know what is a company background. So when you go to interview, right, you need to always make sure that you understand the company background. Example today, you get an interview invitation from Petronas, and you know, oh, Petronas, the petrol station. I know that it's about oil. It's about oil and gas. But do you know that Petronas do IT? Do you know that Petronas do renewable energy? Do you know that Petronas do fertilizer? Do you know that Petronas have a chemical plant? You don't know, right? So always remember, know about which company you are going to apply, you're going for interview. A lot of companies, they have different subsidiaries. So always understand the company background, understand their background in terms of what are they doing, what are they manufacturing, what are they producing. Because these are one of the questions for recruiters to understand your interest to join the company. And you need to know some latest news related to the company. When you mention about latest news, right? Where you can always get it from their official website. Always go to the company official websites to know about what are the latest news that they have. What are the company venturing into? Maybe they are working on the 5G technology. They are moving on to the AI. Yeah, they are moving on to the Internet of Things. So these are a few things you can actually check on. And a lot of people ask me, hey, how do I know is that company good or bad? This is a very interesting question. So a lot of ways for you to know. I would say a couple of ways. The first thing is you can search for company reviews online. I'm not sure how many of you know Glassdoor, right? Glassdoor is one of the job portal that you can actually search for the company review. You can know how well is the company doing, and also you can know how what's the employee commenting. So from there, you can roughly know the company culture, company environment. That's one of the things. And other than that, you can always go LinkedIn and message one of the existing employees to ask about their feedback, because most of the people will be on LinkedIn will be professional. They will answer you genuinely, right? So this is what I can say. You need to do survey about company background first. If you never do survey about company background, no one knows. I mean, you never know what is the company doing. You never because you are not one of the employee. You don't know what are the current trend in the company, right? You need to do research, do survey. Move on to the next one is about technical knowledge. When you mention about technical knowledge, a lot of people might say, "Hey, I know what they do lah. No need to go into prepare lah." But you need to remember, when you go for interview, we need to share when the recruiter asks you a question, you need to share. So from there, you need to understand, before you go to interview, you need to prepare in terms of technical knowledge, understand the job description and job nature, so that you clearly know the situation, what you are going to do when you get hired. That is how you can prepare yourself with skills and experience. Because if you never prepare yourself, recruiter asks you one question, you might think, I don't know how to answer. You might answer wrongly, right? So always prepare necessary knowledge to answer all the questions. Later on, we're going to go through few common interview questions, right? And if let's say today your job is about something technical, it's really technical, revise your lecture notes in case they ask you something related to the theoretical. All right. Next one, let's talk about rehearsal. When I talk about rehearsal, right, I would say a lot of people say, I'm good in speaking, I don't need to do rehearsal. Let me tell you, it is wrong. You are always advised to rehearse or to practice before. I think this is some. Oh, hold on. I think I used the same description. Sorry, I copied wrongly, but it's fine. I'll share verbally with you. So when I talk about rehearsal, it's all about practice. So what I mean by practice? Practice means that you need to ask yourself interview questions, or you get your friends to ask you interview questions, and you answer it yourself, so that you know what to answer during the interview. Of course, the question that you ask yourself might not be exactly the same question, but as a recruiter, but the answer that you share could be the same. So my advice to you is always do a few rehearsals. What I did was I was a bad English speaker last time. So that's why I'm very nervous when speaking in English. So I always go to the mirror and I talk to myself. Right. So it was kind of interesting when I refresh back last time, but I would say right now, after a couple of rehearsal, it makes me able to speak good English. But of course, today you can see I can speak so confidently with you. It's not about interview. Right? It's all about my workshop. I practice every day because I've conducted over 200 workshops. That's why I can speak fluently. But if you flash back to the first workshop that I conducted 2 years ago, I will say that was really bad, right? But what I want to bring out to you today is, regardless of who you are Chinese, Indian, Malay, or any races, it doesn't matter. All you need is practice. All you need is rehearsal. Because if you never practice, you don't know how to answer the question. So all in all, I would say rehearsal makes a very helpful way for you to ace in the interview, right? It helps you to reduce your nervous level, right? Okay, grooming and ethics. So I included here, this one here is because I want to share with you some couple of things. So, when you go to interview, right, grooming or ethics is very important, right? Like your attire. When I talk about attire, I will say, when you go to interview, always go with formal attire. This is very important. Why am I saying so? Is because formal attire, regardless of the company culture, right? Like today, if you go to my company don't wear formal in the office. We wear casual. So, but today, if you go to a company with a casual environment, but you wear a casual attire there, they might think that as an interviewee, you are looking for a job. You are supposed to be formal, right? So my advice to you is, when you go to any company to interview, always wear a formal, right? Wear a formal. And during the interview, your body movement is very important. Because you are nervous. You're very nervous in the interview. So during the interview, you're very nervous. You tend to shake your body. You shake your chair. You round here and round there. You swing around. I would say try to reduce that movement, because when you have a lot of movement, you tend to catch recruiters' attention. They will think that you're not ready enough. You're not well prepared, right? And next one is about eye contact. When I talk about eye contact, right, I would say, if someone talking to you, always look at their eyes. That is super important. So when I talk about right now online, right, virtual, a lot of time you have virtual interview, right? Virtual interview, I would say, is I don't like virtual interview because there are too many factors that could affecting you. Example, today, I'm not sure any one of you using Huawei laptop. From what I know, right, Huawei laptop, the camera is on a keyboard. Their front camera is on a keyboard. So if let's say your camera is on a keyboard, you always need to look at the keyboard, not look at your screen. Else, recruiter might think that you're not looking at them. Because at the same time, recruiters will look at the screen to look into your face. Always remember that. Always have eye contact. Right? That's why I was saying virtual interview is one of the hardest thing compared to the physical interview. Right? Be confident. I will say in any interview, you need to be very confident to show that you are ready for the job, and do not fake yourself. When you mention about faking yourself, right? In the interview, if let's say a recruiter asks anything that you don't know, do not say, "Hey, I know, I'm very good in this." Because in the interview, if you pretend to be good and you get hired, people will eventually know that you're just pretending, right? So always make sure that you're sharing the truth part of yourself. Next one, commonly asked interview questions, right? So right now, I have 15 minutes left. I'll quickly go through a few questions, about 5 questions that to share with you. Some of the interview questions and how can you answer those questions, right? Another 15 minutes to go. I think I can go on time. Okay, so let us move on to the next topic here. Interview question. So the first interview question I want to share with you is about tell me about yourself. When you mention about tell me about yourself, this question is more towards like introducing yourself. Can you introduce yourself or anything, right? So do not just share about your name, your university, your course. That's not enough. Because from your resume, recruiter already know your name. Recruiter already know your course, your whatever thing they already know that. So tell me about yourself is a very important question for you to sell yourself. Sell yourself in terms of your achievement, your background in a very quick 1 to 2 minutes. So during this tell me about yourself, right? You need to call out like it's just like a resume summary. Clearly call out your selling point. Example, you can brief them about your internship. Where have you done your internship? What have you gained? What are the projects you've gone through? So that they know that you're actually gone through the right. You're actually having the right experiences to contribute to their company, right? And aside from that, tell me about yourself is one of the questions for you to set up the whole interview environment. Whether the recruiter is interested on you or not, this question can tell. So you need to make sure that you really call out yourself, sell yourself very well in this question, right? So I was saying, don't just answer about your name, your university. Talk about your achievement. Talk about your past experiences, your project experience. That would be good. Okay. Let me move on to the next one. What attracted you to our company? So when I mentioned about this question, what attracted you to our company is this question is a common question that you recruiter want to know how much of interest that you want to join their company. So from there, what you can do is you still remember this now. You search about the company background. We search about company. We know what's the company doing. So from there, you can relate yourself to the company background, so that you can clearly call out what attracted you. And at the same time, you can also mention about the company culture, company environment. That's one of the that's one of the attractions, or one of the reasons you get attracted to the company. And at the same time, you also can mention also the projects. You think that they have this and that projects that can attract you as well, right? Move on to the next question. What are your biggest strengths? This is a very interesting question, I would say. When talk about what is the biggest strength, I think this is easy to answer. You know what is your strength. You know what to share. So when you mention what is the biggest strength, don't just say, my strength is project management. That's it. And then you say, okay, that's it. No. When you say about your biggest strength, you need to explain about why it is. Example, you say your biggest strength is project management. Share with them example. What is the project you have handled before? How important? How significant is the project? How well have you conducted the project? How well able to lead the project? These are all the good things that you can actually mention. So from there, recruiter know, this person is having this and that, and this will indirectly help you to convince them. Next one, we talk about biggest weakness. This is the question that I don't like, because no one will share. Today if you ask me weakness, I might not going to share you the truth one, right? So for me, I will advise you as a job seeker, always share the right weakness. Share the right weakness to them, the weakness that you actually have, the positive weakness. Excuse me, I want to sneeze. So sorry. Yeah. Okay. So share about the weakness that you have. The weakness that you have in terms of the positive weakness. Do not share negative weakness. Negative weakness in terms of like taking drugs, stealing people's money. That's all. That's all not a good weakness, right? I'm not sure why I have a runny nose suddenly, but it's okay. Let me continue. A couple more minutes to go. Right. So for this biggest weakness, you need to take note on, because weakness is something you need to clearly call out your positive weakness, right? Share your positive and share about how you overcome your weakness. That's important part. Okay. Let me move on. This will be the last question. I mean, the last question in the interview. In every interview, there will be one question. I mean, there will be one question at the end of the interview called, do you have any question to us? Or do you have anything you want to ask? So if you have anything, such question you want to ask, remember to ask question. Even though you have no question to ask, you have to ask question. Don't ask stupid question. Don't ask nonsense. Don't ask something that you already know, right? Ask something that you can further discuss. Example, ask about career growth. Ask about career opportunities. Ask about the project you're going to handle. These are all the good questions that you can ask. Ask about how you can grow or progress when you join a company. So these are a few good questions that you can actually ask, right? And I would say, maybe ask 1 or 2 questions. That will be good, right? Let me move on to the next slide. Okay, so right, hold on. I think I left out something. Let me reshare. Let me reshare my screen. I left out one slide. Hold on. I'm so sorry for that. The inconvenience. Yeah, it's here. Okay, let me share my screen. All right, here you go. Okay, so I have one last slide to share with you. Is about a summary. So I want to do a quick summary before I move on to Q&A, right? So just now we have gone through all the interview questions. Okay, let me do a quick summary. What I've done, right? We've gone through a couple of topics. We will talk about SWOT analysis, about strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats, right? Then followed by we talk about unique selling point. I share with you how can you determine your unique selling point in terms of your in your resume, what are the things you need to focus on. And then thirdly, you talk about resume, right? You talk about resume. What are the sections you need to have? What are the details you need to share? And what are the sorry about that. Okay. And then what are the common mistakes that you shouldn't make, right? And then fourth, we talk about the cover letter. I share with you the cover letter in terms of the format, in terms of the content, right? And lastly, talk about interview in terms of how can you handle the interview, how can you prepare the interview, and some of the interview questions. So based on all these things that we shared today, right, it's a very quick sharing, right? 1.5 hours, Jared completed everything. I hope that you're able to follow, right? But one thing I need to let you know is, based on what I shared just now, there is no any guide. I mean, there's no any theory that you need to follow. There's no any format. So which means in terms of the details that I share to you, there's no any right or wrong in terms of the resume design. Hold on, I need to sneeze. Oh, I'm so sorry for that. Okay, so come back. Suddenly, I feel so cold. Hopefully, it's not COVID. Okay, anyway, let me continue. Right. So basically, what I share to you, there's no any right or wrong in resume design. Right. So all I will say, take it as a guideline for you. Improvise it to fit well to your profile, to fit well into your background, so that you can clearly call up all the selling point to the recruiters, the right selling point. What I mean is the right selling point. Don't overshare something which is not related. And I would say, always seek advice from senior and expert. A lot of time as a student, we don't know what are the details we need to share. We don't know whether is this correct or is it wrong. So always seek advice from your senior, from your career coach, from your resume reviewer, to ask the advice, so that you don't cause yourself into any roadblocks or any issues, right? And I can say that, ask a friend to check your grammar and spelling error, because as I said just now, spelling and grammatical error is one of the challenges that I've seen in the job market. A lot of candidates, a lot of job seekers making these simple mistakes, and it causes them to lose their opportunity. So always make sure that you don't make this simple mistake. And lastly, I will say, and at this time, right now, is a call, what we call it as post-pandemic. After the pandemic, the job market is coming back, everything is back to normal, right? But you need to know the challenges is still there. A lot of people are still looking for a job. There are a lot of university graduating. A lot of people is looking for a job. You will need to have a good and strong resume to stand out from the crowd. Meaning to say that you need to make sure that you have the best portfolio to share. You have the best to share with your recruiters, right? For you to get the job. All right. So with that, let me do a quick summarize about my workshop that I've done, right? So I've conducted about 210 workshops and over 21,000 participants. If let's say you are interested to host any events, any workshop, feel free to approach us through Facebook or Instagram. And these are all of my reviews that I received from my past participants. If let's say you want to write something on LinkedIn, go ahead to write. But of course, don't take any screenshot of the slides. I mean, yeah, don't take any screenshot and post it online. Right, you can write in your own words, right? And these are all the reviews that I have, right? So if let's say you want to know more about me, feel free to connect me on LinkedIn. And one last thing before I move on to the Q&A, right? These are all the offers or the message or the interest of, the recruiters that approach me through LinkedIn. So I share it to you today is because I want to bring an awareness to you that LinkedIn is actually one of the platforms that can make you reach out to the right person. Example, you see, the recruiter from Top Glove approached me to ask me whether am I interested to apply for R&D engineer. And then the recruiter from Bosch asked me whether am I interested to join as a junior manager program. And this recruiter from Metal Toledo is a manufacturing company asked me am I interested as a sales support specialist. So you can see on LinkedIn, there are so many opportunities for you to explore as a student, as a job seeker. So why not get started today, right? And let me give you another motivation. These are all my past workshop participants have successfully proven that it's workable. Like example, this guy get 6 interviews from different company and 2 job offers through LinkedIn, right? So these are all the opportunities that you can actually explore on LinkedIn, right? So with that, these are my details, like my personal email address, my company email address, my LinkedIn profile URL. If let's say you want to know more about me, feel free to connect me on LinkedIn, right? With that, we're not able to have any photo session, I think, because it's an online session. So I want to move on to the Q&A, and once we're done with Q&A, then only we will move on to the free template, right? Yeah. So any question from you guys, feel free to ask question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Patrick, for the talk. Now we will have a brief Q&A session. All our participants, please welcome to direct your questions to our speaker by leaving your queries and your questions in the comment section below. We'll pick like 1 or 2 questions or 2 or 3 questions depending on our time. But you are really encouraged because our panel today is very experienced in his career and his job, as we can see. And I hope that our participants can take note what we have discussed today. So our technical team will choose the questions and will pop up at the screen for Mr. Patrick to read together with me. Is there any questions?
Yeah, there's one question from
Yes,
CC.
there is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. This is a very good question regarding to pre-internship course, right? I'm not sure for your university you have any long semester break, examples 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. If you have such opportunity in every year, example after you complete the first year, you have 3 months in the 3 months semester break, 4 months semester break. A lot of students will choose to be a part-time. You work as a event part-time, you go to be a promoter. I would say for me, if let's say you don't have any financial burden, if let's say you are free, I mean your family able to support your financial wise, go ahead to join pre-internship program. But of course, some people might have financial burden. They need to feed their family, and then you have no choice. But if let's say you have the choice, saying that, hey, my family able to feed me, I mean you don't have any financial burden, go ahead to apply for pre-internship course. So pre-internship course, what I mean a pre-internship course, it's not called course lah, but it's called pre-internship program. It's something that I would say it's like a normal internship program, just apply, but it's non-official. It's non-official, meaning that it's not officially it's not officially from the university. It's like you do it yourself. So you can just go and apply in any website, any company website. Some of them actually take pre-internship program, right? So hopefully I answer your question, City. Yeah. So my advice to you is, if you have the chance, go ahead to apply, because that could help you to boost up your employability for your internship later. Example today, your first year or second year, you join pre-internship program, and that indirectly helping you to secure a job in your secure your internship in your third year or fourth year. Because when recruiter go through your resume and say, oh, this candidate have some relevant experience, and that's what we call you have extra credit to share the recruiters, means that you have extra advantage compared to your friends, because your friends don't have it and you have it. So this is what we call opportunities. That was what I said. But of course, all in all, still referring to your financial burden. If you have no financial burden, go ahead. If you have it, don't say I tell you to go to. So what I can say is, just as an option, that will be one of the ways for you to stand out, right? Hopefully I answer your question, City.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Patrick. So,
Yep.
do we have another questions from our participants? There we go.
Okay. City. Okay. Also City, right? City Sarah, this stuff. Okay. So she asked about salary. When you talk about salary, this is a sensitive question, but it's okay. In a relative world, you need to talk about money, right? Okay. So when you talk about salary, if let's say you are a fresh graduate, take note of this. Okay. So if let's say you are a fresh graduate, usually in multinational company, they have already fixed the starting salary for fresh graduate. In MNC, right, the big company, usually they are already fixed. So you have no chance to negotiate with them. But today, if let's say you join a mid-size or a small-size company, or maybe it's a startup, then in that case, you can negotiate with them, right? And your question is it okay to ask about the salary? Yes, you can ask. But of course, don't ask in the first question. When they ask you, is there any question you want to ask us? Then you straight away ask, how much is the salary? Then that's not a good question. You ask it maybe after 2 questions or 3 questions, so that you show your interest first before you ask for money, right? And of course, even if you don't ask the salary, if you get hired, the HR will going to brief you about your salary. So and by the time the HR brief you, you still have the chance to reject or accept. No any problem on that. But of course, all in all, one more tip for you guys. That's why I'll say, advise you to ask more questions. I can share more with you. One last tip for you guys is, you can always check on Glassdoor to check the average salary for that position in your area. Like Kuala Lumpur, you can know what is the process engineer earns. You can roughly know the average for that particular company. Just go to Glassdoor and search on it. Right? Hopefully I answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Next question is from Ms. Nurul Amni.
Okay. Nori Amni asked a good question. Is it proper to have a hair color other than black? This is a very strange question I got first time. But what I can say is, as long as it's not yellow, red, blue, purple, or green, that should be fine, right? I think light brown should be fine. I mean, you don't too much, right? I mean, you put a you put a red color hair in the interview. Of course, the recruiter will not reject you straight away, but we have first impression. That will be affecting your first impression. But all in all, I would say some company they have a very open policy. Then they should be fine. But some company they still have maybe a traditional thinking that would not be good. But all in all, I would say if to answer your question, is it proper to have other hair color? Yes, you can. Brown is okay. Yeah. But for me, I would not advise you to have a red color, blue color to go for interview. That is too much. But brown is okay. But that's my point of view. But of course, you still need to. You can always refer to recruiters on LinkedIn to ask them for more advice. Yeah. Hopefully, I answer your question. Oh, you're muted. Okay, we have next question from Amir. What's the difference between resume and CV, and is it necessary for applying internship? Okay, when talking about resume and CV, right, I got this question every time in every workshop. Okay, so I know. Okay, it's like an SOP. I need to answer this question every time. Okay, so for resume and CV, there is a huge difference. In fact, there is a huge difference. You need to understand CV and resume different. Okay, let's put it this in Western country. Yeah. In Western country, when people talking about resume, it's a summarized document about your portfolio. And in Western country, if people talk about CV, it's a very long resume. It could be 5 pages, 6 pages. It's not a summarized document. So typically in Western country, resume used for job application in the industry. CV used for application in the research background, in a university, in a master grant or something like that. Okay, so when we talk about this, let us bring back to Malaysia. Not to say Malaysia, Southeast Asia. So when in Southeast Asia, people mention about CV, you don't give them a 5 pages resume, I mean, you don't give them a 5 pages document. That doesn't look well. So if let's say in Southeast Asia, if recruiter asks you for resume or asks you for CV, always give them a summarized document. Because typically, I would say, not to say they're confused, but this is how they ask for resume, right? So if you apply for a job in industry, don't give them a CV, right? Yeah, hopefully I answer your question. And your question is it CV necessary for applying internship? I would say a resume will be sufficient. Okay. Yep. Any other question?
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Any other questions from our participants from YouTube? There we go, from Miss Arena.
Okay. What is appropriate time to ask for follow-up? Yeah, good question. I would say typically 1 to 2 weeks is a good time. Of course, you don't ask follow-up in 2 days, 3 days, because they might still need time to interview other person. So what I can say is maybe 1 or 2 weeks should be okay. Yeah, but don't too long. Right?
1 or 2 weeks. Noted, Mr. Patrick. So next question is from Miss Siti juga. Miss Siti Khadijah.
Okay. Yeah. How can we do a proper follow-up after we done interview without looking like a desperate candidate? Okay. The last part caught my attention. How does it look like a desperate candidate? You can follow up in a professional way through email. But of course, just follow up once. If they never respond, maybe after a few days only you send a follow-up. Don't like I send you email this morning, you need to reply by me by today. No. Maybe by 1 week, if they never respond, then you can give them a call or anything, right? So what I can say is, typically 1 to 2 weeks is the max, right? The recruiter will not after 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So if you after 2 weeks you're still not getting response, means that you have to move on. Of course, you don't need to be sad. There are a lot of companies in the industries, right? So if you company A don't get it, go for company B, C, D, E. There are a lot more companies to explore. So typically 1 to 2 weeks is the most. And I can tell you that if the recruiter really wants to hire you, during the interview, you will feel that they will really want to interview. They will really want to hire you, something like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any other question?
Yes, we do have several more questions, I think.
Go
Next
ahead.
question.
Yeah.
Next question is, there's no more questions. I see. So there's no more questions actually, Mr. Patrick. All right. So I think that is all for our brief Q&A session and questions from our participants. Thank you, Mr. Patrick. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your active participation today. We hope that you have enjoyed our session with our Honorable Mr. Patrick. And before we end, do remember to scan the QR code and fill the feedback form provided on your screen right now, because the form will be closed on 10 minutes a.m. Thank you all and have a nice day. Before we part ways, Mr. Patrick, let's
One
take a
last thing,
photo. Yep.
one last thing that I forgot to share is about the free resume on
Ah,
how to
yes.
yes, correct. Yeah,
Hmm.
let me share my screen again.
Please do.
So
Thank you.
can you see my screen? I'm sharing right now. Yeah, there's a QR code as well over here. Feel free to scan it and fill out the form, and you'll be entitled to win a resume template. Of course, don't use your MySejahtera to scan. Yeah, it's no longer needed. Okay, so you can just take a quick screenshot or can type this link to fill out the form, right? So
All
maybe
right.
I'll leave it here for one minute. And while waiting for you to scan, right, once again, I want to thank the organizer and UITM for inviting me to this session on this lovely Saturday morning. I hope it's not too early for you, right? Um, all in all, I would say right now the job market is very challenging. It's all the while it's very challenging, right? But all you need is always make sure that you are the best candidate among all of them, right? Of course, what you need to do is share more things that relate to the job, because everyone, I mean, the recruiters or jobs hiring manager will always be interested on people who have relevant experience. So you remember my word. People only recruiters or hiring manager are interested on the candidate which have relevant experience. So share more relevant experience in your resume, right? So with that, once again, thank you everyone for joining. I'll pass back to the moderator and I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick, and thank you for the sharing just now. And I really hope that our program today would improve our participants' marketability and employability, our future engineers later on in their life. Before we part ways, Mr. Patrick, let's take a photo to commemorate our panels, your hard work today, and your sharing. Our technical team will lead the photography session. Please welcome. All right. Thank you and have a really nice day, Mr. Patrick, and also to our participants. Thank you
Okay,
again.
and all the best to all of you guys. Right, see you guys. And of course, if let's say you need more details, always connect me on LinkedIn and we can further discuss about that. Right. So with that, thank
All
you
right.
everyone, and I will leave the room. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Mr. Patrick. Bye bye.